guys, I'm Elise Wong, and in this video I'm going to share with you some tips to get you started on digital painting. So for the basics, what you need is really simple. You just need a Wacom tablet, Photoshop or whatever digital software, but I use Photoshop, and a computer. The Wacom I use is Wacom CTL471. I will show a pop-up link to it's my very first video. It's to show you the unboxing and where I got this Wacom tablet. And I will also share with you another link, what I do to help avoid or to troubleshoot scratches on your Wacom tablet, because it can affect your painting. For Photoshop software, I ended up getting Photoshop CS6, and on this video I'm going to share with you the basic commands and tools that you can use in Photoshop for your painting. Hey guys, as you can see, we're now in Photoshop CS6, but before we get started, I want to show you how to set your Wacom preference. So you just go to Control Panel, you go to Hardware and Sound. Down here you can find Wacom Preference, so you click on that. Okay, this may differ between models. I'm using a 1x Wacom, so if you have a bamboo Wacom, for example, it may differ quite a bit. So now you're looking at the tablet. There's a tablet and a pen. For the tablet, if you're a left-handed, you can actually use this and you can go ahead and click left-handed. Because before this, I was actually borrowing from a friend and I didn't know about Wacom Preference before. What I did was I just flipped the Wacom upside down and then I just used it like that. But the wire always get in the way of that. So now that I use left-handed, I can just draw on it without the wire bothering me. Of course, by default, it's right-handed because there are more right-handers out there. For pen, for those who already have your tablets, you can see that at the side of the pen there are buttons, and this is what it's for. The top one is obviously for your top button, and the bottom one is for your bottom button. If you click on this, you have a whole lot of options to choose from. I went on and picked eraser, so then I don't have to go ahead and erase all the time. I can just click on this as I'm doing it. And then the other one is pen and scroll. For tip feel, I am slightly on the softer side. If you go soft, you don't have to put as much pressure on your tablet as compared to firm. If you go to firm, you really have to put a lot of pressure to draw. For tracking, we're definitely going to use pen mode because we're not going to buy a tablet just for a mouse. So if you go to mapping, I go for all screens. Your tablet and pen will be applicable to the entire monitor. If you choose monitor, I think this means that if you have 2 or more monitors, you can actually pick which one you want to use it for. I can't really test this theory because I'm just too poor to get a second monitor. For portion, this means only a portion of your monitor will be applicable to your pen and tablet. So I'm just going to show you an example. So you can set, I'm going to put this really small. I'm going to click OK. You can see it only goes a certain point. This is the maximum I can use my arrow on. Force proportions, I'm not too clear what that is. Usually I think they just kind of set the proportions for you, but I don't click on force proportions. For tablet, there is 2 choices. One is full, one is portion. The full means the scale of your monitor is compatible with your tablet. If I do my tablet here at the top right hand corner here, and as you can see on my monitor, it's the same. It's around the top hand corner. So this is what a full tablet area means. For portion tablet area, you can actually set a small portion of your tablet, and this applies to the rest of your monitor. Some artists use this so they don't have to keep moving their hands too much. So I'm just gonna go ahead and show you guys. So for example, I just set a small little portion of the tablet right here. I click OK. Wait, okay, so now my arrow is in the middle. I'm going to go to the top right hand corner. As I'm hovering my pen on my tablet, and the monitor you can see it is a top right hand corner, but if you can see my tablet, it is not the top right hand corner. It's actually a smaller portion of the tablet. Click sound, I've never tried it, but I'm going to guess it makes clicking noises. So not interested, I'm not going to do that. For double click distance, I am not so sure, but according to this, drag the slider to a smaller or bigger double click distance. A bigger distance makes double clicking with your pen tip easier. Yeah, I don't really do double click. I don't really know how to use this. When you're done, you're just gonna close it. The panel you see on the left are your tools, and on my right is my workspace. So I get this one. You can actually customize it yourself. You can go to Windows, and then right now I have the navigator, so I got the navigator on. I got my layers, which is my layers. I also have swatches, which are the color palettes over here. I also have history. So these are the things that I use the most. And you can see that layers take up the most space because I really use up a lot of layers and I really need to focus on which one I'm using. So my layers are going to be really long. It kind of depends on what you want. And this is my preference and this is what I work with. So you're going to practice a lot and see which one you use the most. You can actually customize your workspace. Remember the shortcuts. It will help you a long way. It really makes your painting a lot faster. So when you're going to open a new one, you're going to go to new. And over here is your shortcut. So you can go Control N. You can name it and you can actually choose. For presets, you already have your choices. So you can have default Photoshop size, you have US paper, you have international paper. You can have photo, web, mobile devices, film and video, or you can even have custom. So I'm just going to go ahead and go for international paper, A4. Resolution 300. Never go 72. These are pixels per inch. So if you go like 72, and then when you kind of zoom in and blow the picture up, it gets very pixelated, especially like if you want to print and stuff as well. So for resolution, try to use 300 or above. So I'm going to click OK. So now my navigator, you can see that there is a white paper, kind of like what's showing on my screen. So if I zoom, it will actually show the portion to what you're zooming. I like this because then you can see how your art is coming along. Instead of always zooming out, like zooming further and further, I can just look at the navigator. So you see this, the magnifying glass, and you can see the zoom to bracket Z or Z. This is your shortcut key. So your shortcut key is going to be Z. I'm going to click Z right now, and you can see now my mouse has become a magnifying icon with a plus. So this means I'm going to zoom in. Then I'm going to press alternate, which will let me zoom out. Another way to zoom in, you can actually click Control and your plus equal sign. And then when you zoom out, you go Control minus sign. So these are the shortcuts that I usually use. To create a new layer, I don't really know how to do this the long way, so I'm just going to teach you the shortcut. Control Shift N. And you can name your layer. And this is really important so you don't get mixed up, because I get mixed up all the time. And naming it just helps a lot. So I'm just going to say blah, blah, blah. Alright, so now you have made a new layer. So I'm just going to do an example. I painted something. And I want both of these to merge together. To merge them, you can click on this, Control this. By pressing Control, it allows you to click multiple layers. So you can right click and you can go merge layers, or you can Control E, which is merge as well. Another way is to right click and go to flatten image. By flattening image, you're actually flattening all the layers that you have created. Instead of clicking one by one, you can actually click flatten image, and this flattens your entire layer. Then it makes it into one layer again. You might not understand what I'm talking about now, but the more you practice, the more you understand what's it used for. So now I'm going to move on to paint bucket. Let's see, where's your paint bucket? This is your paint bucket, and your shortcut is G. So I'm going to click G. I'm going to pick gray. I usually do my background gray. If you've seen some of my painting videos, I usually just use gray as the background because it's a very neutral color. It's not too bright as white, and it's not too dark as black. So what I've done here, I've divided the page. The top will be white and the bottom is black. and I used a single color, purple, and I'm just going to draw a big line right in the middle. And you can see, even on the navigator even here, it looks so different. From the white, it looks really dark, but the black makes it light. And this kind of plays with your brain, because your brain kind of gives you information, and because white is so bright, the contrast makes the purple look darker. And at the same time, it's the same goes for the black. The black is dark, so your brain kind of contrasts the purple to look brighter. And this kind of affects your painting a lot if you don't intend your background to be white. So if you started with white and then you start painting your main subject, and then after that you only started painting your background, your main subject is going to look a little darker or lighter than expected. So usually I'll just use a very neutral color, which is gray. Alright, so let's just say you started with a vertical A4 paper, and you don't want it to be A4, you want it to be horizontal. You're going to go image rotation, and these are your angles. So you can go 180, 90 degrees clockwise or 90 counterclockwise. The shortcut for this is alternate I, G, and then you can see all the little underlines. That's the letter, that's the number or letter that you're going to pick. So I'm going to click 0, for example, and then you rotated your canvas. Next, we're going to go for brush. Brush is over here. Your shortcut key is going to be B, so I'm going to click on B. To make it bigger or smaller, how you call it, it's like that little, the very angular bracket key. I have no idea what you call that, but yeah, this on the right is to make the brush bigger, and on the left is to make it smaller. Then you can just draw whatever you want. Then you also have brush presets, which you can find on F5. You can check your brush presets by going to Window, and you look for brush presets or brush. I usually just click F5. So this is your brush, and these are all the brush presets you got. I think up to here, just like that first column up to here, is the ones that are provided for by Photoshop. The rest are all custom brushes. I would probably make a video on how to make your own custom brushes, but majority of this, and I would say majority by 98% of this, more like 99% of this, come from another fellow artist. He was kind enough to share with me his custom brushes, so now I'm using all this. These custom brushes have their own unique shapes. It's not necessary for you to get custom brushes. You can actually do this with a hard round brush. But all these textured brushes really makes your painting a lot faster. So let's just say I pick this one, and then I draw. These are the patterns that comes out. See, it's different. And to really give that whole layer thing going on, I don't mean layer as in Photoshop layer, I mean like painting layers. Let's say, for example, this, your line. I'm using a hard round brush, and for flow, I'm just going to decrease it. You can see that it is not smooth anymore. The transitioning of the hard round brush is not smooth anymore. But you go to opacity, this is the intensity of the colors. And because the intensity is not so great, you can actually overlap them. It gets darker as it overlaps. And this kind of creates the whole layer going on. You know, it kind of feels like there's a lot more going inside. So it gives it a more three-dimensional approach. So let's just say I want to erase all this. Your eraser will be here, and the shortcut key is E. So I'm going to click E, and I'm going to brush it. Now, eraser is similar to brush in terms of making it smaller, making it bigger. You can also click the brush presets. Like, okay, for example, let's use the same one. And when I want to erase it, but I want to erase it in a more fashionable style. So this is how I erase it. And it just kind of makes it easier to incorporate that style without using a brush. And you can also set the opacity and the flow. Okay, so that's pretty much it. The last one is save. Usually if you want to save, you can just go to File, Save As. So you can go Shift Control S. Shift Control S, and this is what you get. Now, as you can see, there are a lot of PSD, PSD, PSD. It's very important for you to save it in PSD, especially when you're in the middle of painting, so you don't lose all that progress. And if you save it in PSD, all your layers will be saved in this order, so it's not all flattened. If you save it in JPEG, it will automatically flatten your layers, and when you open it, there is no more separation. That's the advantages of saving in PSD. So when do you save in PSD and when do you save it in JPEG? For example, you stop your painting, so you want to continue it later on, you save it in PSD, then you save all the progress that you've done, your layers are untouched, then you can continue doing everything you want. And when you save it in JPEG, usually I'll save JPEG as the finished product. Also save your finished product in PSD just in case. But finished product, I would save it in JPEG, then I start to share the file on Facebook or whatever to share my works. So format, you can share it in PSD. There are a whole bunch of others that you can save it in as well. So usually I'll save it in PSD if I want to work on it again. And you can save it in JPEG. Okay, so let's just say I save it under Untitled 1, just to give you guys an example. So I click Save, click OK. So I close this. So when I open, you can actually just go to your folder and find it manually, or you go Open, and then you just find the folder. But since you did it recently, you can actually go under Open Recent. So I click Untitled, and you get it blah 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 blah, and Layer 1. So now let's just say I want to save it in JPEG. So I'm going to save it to JPEG. Oh, I already have an untitled one. Okay, never mind. Let's call this blah, blah, blah. All right, okay. So you're going to go for quality. Obviously, if you go for 1, it's a really small file. When you blow it up, it's going to be very pixelated. So you can go from 8 onwards. 12 is maximum, so I'm just gonna pick 12. Couldn't hurt anybody, right? So then you just click OK, and ta-da! So now when I open blah blah blah, you can see this is what happens. It automatically flattens your oh, now I open it in JPEG, so now you can see the layers here. It automatically flattens all your layers, and when you open it, it is just one layer, so there's no separation, and you can't really work on it again. You have to work on top of what it really flattens. You may not understand what I'm trying to talk about right now, but the more you practice, the more you understand. So yeah, I really hope this video has helped you. I hope you find this video helpful, and if you do, please share the love by like and subscribing down below. And I would love to hear your thoughts. What other beginner tips you can share with the group, whoever's watching, you know. Or you can, maybe I learned something new from you too. So I would love to hear what you have to say. Just share whatever you have to say down and I'll read them. If you're new to my channel, I would love for you to subscribe, and if you'd like to keep up to date with my photos and paintings, you can follow me on the following sites, which are listed down below in the video description. They are Facebook, Blogspot, Google+, and Deviantart. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. Love you guys. Stay cool.